Hi there. I just wanted to kind of run through this case really fast just to show Smile Arc protection, optimized setup with custom braces. And I did some minor modifications to the original setup, but the biggest thing that we always obviously want to check for when we're looking at Smile Arc, if we pull up the grid, is we want to make sure that it matches kind of the lower lip contour. And as I look at this patient's lower lip, it looks to me like we have a pretty aggressive curvature of the lower lip here. And if anything, we could use a little bit of extrusion, more extrusion on maybe the central incisor. So I would typically do a little bit more of an aggressive smile arc here, kind of maintaining the canines or extruding them a little bit to match up with where the premolars are, kind of keeping the canines and the laterals at about the same height, but having the centrals come down even lower. And so if you look at that compared to the grid here, you can kind of see in the digital setup that the canines are relatively even with the laterals, which I think looks pretty appropriate for this smile. And then we have the centrals extending down. So if you wanted less of a transition here, it's so easy to come in and you can select both teeth even simultaneously. And I could lift those up so there'd be more of a 0.5 mm transition step. And you can kind of see how it still looks pretty good. The other beautiful thing with this is we have the ability to change the wire plane. So because these brackets are adaptable, if you said I want these brackets to be closer to the gingival margin, because with a single bracket prescription we have to be at FA point everywhere, so we're limited by that. But if you wanted to, we can move these brackets more gingivally. And here I would say our limiting factor is going to be this lateral incisor. So you can go kind of as high as you want to before you kind of run into that limitation. And really with Smile Arc, we're just delivering, the wire is delivering a force system of the relative anchorage teeth. So you're going to get the same mechanics if I have a wire that looks like this, or looks like this, or one, like I said, that just looked where we had it more gingival. And what I've found when I've done more of a traditional mechanics with the Smile Arc protection, where I've got really gingivally placed upper incisors, is a lot of times I'll lose control at the incisal edge and end up having to recover for those in my bigger wires because there's just so much distance between where the bracket slot is and the wires that you end up losing some first order control a lot of times through that anterior section. So my preference typically is to use this wire plane control to have my brackets be a little bit more centered in the tooth without losing any of the ability to kind of control that relative positioning. We're trying to do more of an extrusion of an entire group of tooth. That's a different thing than Smile Arc protection for me, where if you want to have more of a youthful smile in somebody, then I would extrude, these whole upper units as a whole. And then usually I'll retract the teeth just a little bit as I do that. But you can kind of see now I've created more of a extrusive component for all of those anterior teeth even more. So that's different than Smile Arc to me. Smile Arc is following the contour of the lower lip, whereas lip drape kind of control is making sure I've got the canine to canine framed appropriately in the smile. One of the most fun parts about custom for me is the ability to customize even just where we place the brackets within a given patient's smile, because we can do a lot of really neat things in determining the same force system, same final outcome, but having the brackets lay differently on the teeth